What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome in to Money Shots, where on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays we give you our best picks or props. Well, Che is here. And yeah, today's Friday. Kelly, Che, welcome in the show. Kelly, you seem like you're in a different place every time we talk to you these days. What's up? Where are you at? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm at my aunt's house right now. I just couldn't do the Chicago commute one more day. Hour and a half each way. I love those guys, but I got no work done in the office. Like, I'm not an office person. I am a remote person for a reason. It's because it's like, oh, squirrel. Oh, got to talk to White Sox Dave. Oh, Eddie has something to say. Oh, cool. Somebody brought donuts. Oh, great. The water delivery's here. Like, it became like such a craziness that I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to take it easy today. But life is really good. Those guys were super hospitable. So thank you to everybody down there that I got to meet. It was so fun.
Che, how we feeling? How are you doing today?
Good. Just a reminder for everyone to go watch Barstool Chicago content. I
Yes,
am
they're great. I love
yeah,
those guys. Like, oh, I didn't understand the slander. And then poof, that Twitter's gone.
yeah.
And he said I was really nice. Like, that's the worst part. Like, somebody was like, wow, Kelly's really nice. And it turns out he was not very nice.
It was I need to know if something like astrologically or something, that's the word, was happening last night, because I feel like everyone was slightly off their rocker more than usual. There was there's been some slander thrown around left and right, whether it's from that random deleted Twitter account, whether Hank lash out at Big Cat, call him a fat fuck. I mean, there was just lots of
That was very mean.
there was lots of things happening.
Megan, if you ever call me a fat fuck, rough and rowdy will happen, even though I know you'll beat my ass.
Well, I would never call you fat because I think you're a gorgeous, beautiful woman, and I would love you no matter your size. But that's neither here nor there. Speaking of size, let's talk about the size of our digital wallets over at Skrill. Did y'all like that? That segue was
That's nice.
sick,
That's
right?
nice.
All right, coming to Barstool Sportsbook, Skrill is a digital wallet perfect for gamblers. Skrill is for money movers and makers, allowing you to instantly deposit and withdraw your money. Sophisticated gamblers like us use Skrill to manage their bankroll, whether they're playing games like poker or betting on their favorite sports. It's one of the safest and most secure digital wallets, and once it's part of the Barstool Sportsbook, you'll be able to deposit and withdraw instantly and without limits. Skrill also lets you transfer money, which Kelly is going to do for me, to another Skrill member and take advantage of some of the best money transfer rates around. Make sure you sign up at skrill.com/barstool. Again, that's skrill.com/barstool to create your free account and complete the account verification by clicking follow the game after registering so that you can start using your digital wallet today. And hopefully, between the three of us, we'll be able to come up with some winners that you can cherry pick from and fill that Skrill wallet full of digital money. That just doesn't sound as good as physical money, but digital money nonetheless is pretty cool.
Same
I don't
thing.
know what y'all think. Yeah, essentially, yeah, because the banks can literally keep 0% of our money in them these days. But yeah, let's talk about the game last night. I definitely was wrong about Jamar Chase and all of his receptions. He had 4, not the 5.5, so I wasn't able to hit that parlay plus. But what's funny is I made an original parlay plus with the Bengals money line, the under 54.5, and a Mixon anytime touchdown. That was my original. I go, maybe I should maybe 3 legs is too much. Maybe I've been pushing it, and I'm an idiot. So that was pretty much that's what I got out of the game last night. I also want to apologize for my tweet because I tweeted the prayers for the over or after Tua got hit. I did not realize how bad he was injured at all when I tweeted it. So I immediately deleted that tweet. I'm not usually one to delete things, but that was completely like just an off. I'm not a doctor. I had no idea how hard he got hurt. So my apologies to anyone I offended yesterday. Usually I don't apologize for anything, but again, I had no idea how truly injured he was. So if there was anyone out there that for some reason I ruffled feathers, I did delete it. I am aware of the tweet. I am very sorry for Tua, and I hope that he gets well soon. So that's my
Megan,
bad.
I also hope Tua gets well soon, but I also hope that the losers that were chastising you over that get a real life. I mean, football is a violent sport. It is very unfortunate that we do see injuries happen, but I would agree. I didn't realize Tua was that messed up either. Granted, I was at a bar and just catching glimpses of the game because the first half over hit and I stopped caring. I think that everybody needs to relax. We're only human as well. And sometimes we're not going to have the best takes, maybe a little bad timing for you, but
It
as
was
far as
very
that goes.
bad.
I
So
don't think I know Megan well enough to think that she wasn't just being distasteful. It was just a poor timing of a tweet.
yes,
I I actually had a similar tweet, where
did
I
you?
tweeted
Yeah,
out
did we all die last night?
No, I mean, it's tough because 'cause we're in the instant reaction business. I was
Yeah.
actually watching at HQ for, like, a sponsored thing, and we were on, like, slight delay, so maybe 30 seconds, so, when I tweeted out something like, "That looks like a really bad injury for Tua. I hope they don't have him come back in the second half because that's what happened last week."
Yeah.
Um, that was before the stretcher came out and things looked really bad. So that was more just like a serious, like, I hope they don't do this, but then, obviously not joking about a serious injury.
Yeah.
But instant
So
reaction business, you kind of got to eat some shit a bunch of times. And that's what happens.
yeah, so again, Steven and I both apologize because we we didn't realize the gravity of the situation. Now that we do, Tua, we hope that you get well soon. It's always Tua time in my heart these days because I feel really bad. I feel really fucking bad. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, on to the game last night. Joe Burrow looked pretty good. The Bengals seemed like they controlled the game pretty much the entire time last night. My poor husband had the Dolphins tease plus that 10.5, so you can tell that last minute touchdown. I'm surprised that our TV is still standing. But me, I just had that parlay plus, which obviously my boy Jamar Chase did not get the receptions that I intended. So I'm sure shout out Rico, did not hit the double dip either. That just sucks. But what did y'all think of the game last night?
I'll let Che go. Like I said, I didn't really watch much of the second half. I think that the Bengals were the right side wire to wire, but then I'm catching hot takes that said if Tua played all 4 quarters, the Bengals would have lost that game. Full disclosure, I know my job's to watch football, but I was too busy enjoying a nice bottle of Camus. I'm telling you guys, I watched the first half and I was like, oh my God, it's dead, 23 and a half. And then boom, right before half, late touchdown. So thank you to Tua and
Teddy Bridgewater just
Tyreek
didn't
for
look
that one.
good. Teddy Bridgewater just was not it. I don't know if you thought that as well. I mean, obviously,
I mean,
he's
that's
a backup
that's
for a
his
reason.
MO. He's a game manager. He did take a bunch of deep shots down the field, which was nice to see. But yeah, obviously the game took a big backseat to Tua and his health, and I think that took a lot of the wind out of the sails of the Dolphins. He's kind of been the guy that's been propelling them. Obviously, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are terrific players, but Tua's been delivering the ball to them on time where they needed to be. And Jalen Waddle talked about it after the game, like how just the locker room at halftime was just really down based on that injury, and that's not something you can necessarily prepare for. So I think it definitely took a lot of the wind out of the sails of not only the teams but the viewers as well, and everyone's kind of hoping that he was safe. But as far as the actual game, the Dolphins did a good job moving the ball. They had some issues kicking. They missed an extra point. They missed a field goal. I think they had another one blocked. So they definitely had their chances, but the Bengals did a nice job. Joe Mixon not super effective as far as like a yards per carry spot, but as far as controlling the ball, time of possession, he did enough. And then the Bengals receivers are very good too, with obviously Jamar Chase and T Higgins, and they made enough plays to get the W. So the Bengals are a good team, and I think overall you look at the Bengals coming in at 1-2 and the Dolphins 3-0. I think water kind of found its level last night.
I would agree with that. I had such a hard time before the game though because I have just been so off with NFL, and I mean these lines, these totals have been so sharp. I just didn't know, especially with Tua, like what to make of the game because he's just been. I mean, especially that Ravens game, it just won't leave my head. I like when they cut with like 28 points in the fourth quarter, whatever it was. I was just terrified to take the Bengals. And Kelly, usually I'm not afraid to back Joe Burrow at any time, but I just watched that O line collapse so many times. I just watched him not look great. So it was hard for me to want to lay the 3 with the Bengals versus just the money line. But good win for the Bengals nonetheless. Let's go ahead and move on to our die on the hill section. And mine is not a really hot take, but I saw all of these pictures on Twitter this morning and it just freaked me out. I will not allow Andy Dalton to dictate my bet this week. He will not beat the Vikings, and I don't know if I have to fly to London to get this done. But everyone is like, I saw him with this like little cheeky smile in a picture, and I'm like, you motherfucker! The week that I go against the Saints because I've just been so wrong. You show up. And I trashed Jameis and I apologized for it. And now
You're
Andy
right.
Dalton comes to say, I'm not right. I was not right. I was down bad. That's everyone. Just
I mean, Jameis, I literally told my buddy this last night, Megan. I don't think you're wrong. I think Jameis is just hurt. I think he's just beat up. He's broken, and it's probably the right move to start Andy Dalton. So wait, did you lay the 2.5 on the road
yes,
or I guess a neutral
I
field?
laid the two. So I have a weird feeling that this game, and we will get to it, but has just a
Andy
Kirk
Dalton's gonna win this football game. This is
off.
like
I
this.
know
There's
he's
no
not.
doubt in my mind.
I'm literally. I will. I don't want to use this term, but I will shoot the red rifle before he shoots me. So that's what I'm gonna do. I will fucking go to London and be a sharpshooter or something. I don't know. I can't let Andy Dalton win this. This game has Kirk Cousins' name written all over it. It's wake up, drink a cup of coffee, read the paper, start a football game. Like that seems like Kirk Cousins' MO. And as I said, we'll talk about it a little bit. But that's my hill I'm dying on. Is I refuse to let my weekend be dictated by Andy fucking Dalton, respectfully. So that's my hill.
I will say that your weekend is already being dictated by Andy Dalton and the Saints because the game starts at 9:30. So you're going to be waking up early and watching the NFL, which in some parts is nice, but the day is
I'll actually be up
behind,
earlier
and
because
that's
my daughter has
that's
a
early.
soccer game.
What's
So
that?
soccer game at 8:45 for the 4-year-old. So I'm gonna go out there, fill them with donuts, and then come home and maybe have like a Bloody Mary after I place my bets responsibly and watch that 9:30 game.
Let's
But
go.
yes, you're right. He is dictating my weekend already,
Yeah,
so I can't.
it's already too late, Megan. I don't have a big opinion there. I can definitely tell you Andy Dalton is not much of a drop off from a very banged up Jameis Winston. I made this game 1.5. I made the game Saints 1.5. And so to see +3, I think we're overreacting a little bit. I haven't bet it yet because I know the whole world's going to bet the Vikings here in London. So eventually it may hit 3.5. And every sharp group in the world is going to bet Andy Dalton and the Saints, including myself.
Are you gonna die on that hill? Are you willing to die
Oh,
on the
I'll
Andy
die on that hill. I'll die on the hill. Fine, here, you want me to die on this hill? The Saints are going to win the football game with Andy Dalton. Just bet the Saints on the money line. There's my die on the hill. I'll die on that hill. There's not much of a drop off here. The Saints defense is going to win them this game regardless, right? The weapon
No,
that
not
Jameis has is with Olave, is Kamara 100%? Have we heard? Is he going to be a go?
I mean, yeah,
And outside of that,
practice.
we got
Michael
looking
Thomas
good.
is out, but
Yeah, Michael
Michael
Thomas is
Thomas is
hurt.
out with his toe
yeah,
injury, right?
yeah.
Okay. So that's a little bit of a concern. I would say that's a half point drop off there. But look, I think that 13 targets, 147 yards for Chris Olave is very, very possible against this Vikings defense. I'll die on that hill. I like Kevin O'Connell, I really do, but man, this team as a favorite is just horrific. They just are. I don't like the Vikings as a favorite. They don't win in a non-ugly fashion. I don't know how else to say that. Like they win
I think this game's
ugly
ugly
games.
either way, but I need I need Vikings just to cover the 3.
I know. I saw your list and I'm just like, okay, well, at least money shots is going to be interesting. I do feel bad about it, but
You feel bad about it?
there's some road dogs barking this week, Megan. Some big road dogs barking.
I'm tired of hearing that. Benman said the same thing last week. I don't want to hear it from you this week. Che, what's your hill to die on?
I think the Kelly Vegas's Denver Broncos are going to be okay, and it might not be this week, but they're
I think it's probably
going.
this week.
It absolutely might be, but their schedule coming up is very soft, and at the end of the day, they are 2-1, so they're very much still in this race. It has been a very ugly. Anytime you win 11-10, that's
Oh,
not.
dangerously ugly.
That wasn't a
Impressive.
scoregami though, was it?
I don't think so, but I'm not a scoregami expert by far. We'll have to check with Jake Marsh on that. But I think that they're going to be okay, and here's why. Russell Wilson is not necessarily a rhythm and timing quarterback. Nathaniel Hackett, that's his MO. So they're melding together. It's been a couple weeks. It hasn't looked great. Tom Brady, when he came to the Bucs in 2020, didn't look great early on. But things started to click in the beginning of October. So what gives me faith in the Broncos is they do have a very good defense and their schedule. So they're playing the Raiders this week in Vegas. Then they're hosting a beat up Colts team on Thursday night. Then they're at the Chargers, the division foe, which should be a tough game, but Justin Herbert is hurt and the Chargers haven't played great. Joey Bosa is going to be out. Then they host the Jets. They're at the upstart Jaguars, which is a pretty even match. Then at Tennessee, and then they host the Raiders again. at the Panthers. So their next 8 games, I don't think they're going to be favored in all 8 of them, but they are extremely winnable. If they can come out of those with 6 wins, we're looking at 8 wins by Halloween.
That's pretty
Or not
crazy
by
to think
Halloween,
about.
sorry,
By Thanksgiving.
by Thanksgiving. So not bad. I
Well,
think the Broncos are going to be okay. I still think they're a playoff team. Russ is going to get it together. He's a good enough player. And what was encouraging was last week on the game-winning drive, he told his team like, "Hey, I'm comfortable. I'm going to start using my legs." And that's what makes Russell Wilson really good is using his legs and trusting his legs. And he is a
So why hasn't he been comfortable the first 2 weeks? I mean, God, this is my only thing I'm going to agree with you on, Che, is that Denver has so many more yards than the opponents that they've played. Like they're winning in the stat line,
Yep.
but it's not correlating to the field. Like
Mhm.
you've got 3 or 4 really good weapons in Denver, and they're just not being utilized. I don't get it. Like this offense was just ugly on
Agree.
Sunday. And granted, you got to give a little credit to San Francisco's defense, but I'm with you. I would not be shocked to see the Broncos have 8 or 9 wins by Thanksgiving. That sounds really awful to say. But now that we know that the Raiders aren't that great, and I
Yep.
do think they're going to start 0-4, I think the Broncos are a great teaser spot this week, but I do think that they'll win that game. And now that the Chargers are super banged up, Denver could be the second best team in the AFC West.
that's a hilarious statement to hear just because of just watching them. What do y'all think
Yeah.
about? I saw an article circulating saying that like his teammates think that Russell is like the most cringy leader like ever, like him being on the bench, just being just absolutely, as we all know, just a cheese dick. I mean, do
He's
you think
definitely a cheese dick.
does that mean do you think that's gonna make a difference in like the people around him? Like I don't want to say like wanting to play with him or for him, but like as far as like a motivational guy, like if your quarterback is just a complete like dunce, like like do
I
you
don't think he's a dunce. I think they think he's like
what
a
dunce is the point.
square. I think they think
Yeah,
he's like a dork. But I think
there you
the other thing is too is that being able, like Chase said, to go into that huddle and say, "All right, like you guys have to trust me here. We're gonna get this win," and to be able to get that
you can
win
hear him. You gotta
speaks
trust me
volumes.
here,
I
guys.
mean, they should have won the game in Seattle, but Nathaniel
Yep.
Hackett's an idiot. So they should be 3-0. I mean,
Yep.
full disclosure, they should be. But this team has got a lot of hurdles to overcome, and they're going to lose games that they should win. And they're probably going to win games they should lose. And the bookmaker is making the Raiders 3 here is laughable. I'm honestly floored.
And now they have a special like clock management only guy.
Oh, good.
And memo to any NFL team, especially the Bucks, if you need a guy for that, I played thousands of hours of Madden. I am ready to go. Timeouts, challenges, I got you.
Shay, I've got a story for you after the show because I got told by the Barstool Chicago guys that I talk more than White Sox Dave. So I'll save it for after the show, but you'd really appreciate it. I'm good friends with an old, literally, that was his job for the Giants,
Oh, that's awesome.
was to tell Bill Parcells, hey, you dumb fuck. You have 2 timeouts and 43 seconds left.
No, there's a lot to think about. I feel like being like a coach is a lot like being a mom. You gotta like
Yes.
time management, making sure everyone's healthy, like
Yeah, but you can
making
only
sure
dictate so much.
most of
That's where the
the week.
guys that they have guys on their staff that they trust to do the right thing. And when you have a new coaching staff like we're seeing in Denver and other places with a new head coach, it takes time for that stuff to start to gel and to really start to trust each other. Or on the flip side, you see it going on in the Chiefs organization right now, and Andy Reid throwing his coordinators under the bus. So there's a lot of there's a lot that goes into that coaching tree, if you will, and the hierarchy and who decides who's going to take the bullet, if you will, for certain things.
Well, I feel like I've taken a lot of bullets, so let's move on to picks. It's been a rough one for your girl, but we're just gonna keep on pumping them out, tail, fade, pass. Maybe just don't even listen to me. Whatever it is that you guys want to do, I'm here for it. My first pick, I'll go ahead and give it out. I like the Bills minus the 3 at the Ravens. Bills off of a loss, better defense. I think they're going to neutralize the run game, whether it be in the backfield or with Jackson, force him to make plays from the pocket, which we know Jackson is not essentially a pocket passer. But I mean, I think they're going to try to make him one, which I mean, look, he could easily get it done. But I just think this is a good spot for the Bills. We're not being asked. Who is this guy? We're not being asked to do a whole lot. Sorry, some guy just walked outside of my window. It's really weird. But I think he's cutting my grass. But we're not asking a whole lot here, in my opinion, with the Bills. But yeah, I like the Bills minus the 3. That's my first pick. You can either motherfuckers. You can either argue with me or just add your commentary.
Megan,
Or
I'm on the other side. I only played 3 games this week. That is my 1B second. It's my second favorite bet, and it's only because every time I bet Harbaugh as an underdog at home, it cashes. He's won his last 5. It's not very often that he's an underdog at home. I know that the Bills are a really solid team. They kind of shot themselves in the foot in that Miami game. They had
Yeah.
multiple opportunities, came up empty in the red zone. And that's what happens in divisional games. But on the flip side, the Ravens looked really good last week in the second half against the Pats. And this might be a buy low spot on the Bills. But as I mentioned, just situationally, I love Harbaugh as a home underdog. And we'll see. I know everybody's ready to give Lamar Jackson the MVP after the last couple of weeks. I'm not there yet, but I do think 3 at home, particularly when it was 3.5, was a must play on situation for me.
All right. Well, hopefully I don't get absolutely fucking obliterated. There's that hope out the window is there. But Steven, what is your next pick, or do you have something within this game?
Yep. So I'll give something within this game. One thing I want to note is that I've been ice cold, like Megan, NFL. So I actually gave myself a suspension through the end of the month for picks. That being said,
Wow.
I
How
thought that yesterday
responsible.
was the last day of the month.
I mean,
So
also tomorrow's the first, right? So you didn't give yourself
correct,
that much of a suspension.
correct. I thought
I
I
just
thought that
realized I'm
I
like,
thought that
oh
Friday
wow,
was
the
the
end of the
first.
month, and then I looked down at the calendar. I'm like, wait, that's 2 days.
Well, I did this on Monday, so I sat out the Monday night game. I
Oh,
sat out last night, but I am going to give a couple interesting stats, not necessarily picks, today, and we'll get into it this weekend. But so just going through the props, and this is a little bit tougher because props generally come out on Friday after the final practice, just when people are ruled out and things like that. Lamar Jackson is. I love betting on Lamar Jackson overs. But against Buffalo, he has not been very good. And a very juicy line from a guy who bets Lamar rushing all the time. It's his rushing yardage typically floats around in the low 60s, 61 and a half, 62 and a half, 60 and a half. It's 55 and a half this game. So my immediate thought is, wow, that's really low for Lamar Jackson rushing total. But if you look at his history against the Bills, it's not good. He averages just over 37 and a half rushing yards per game against Buffalo and has never eclipsed 55. So I'm not saying he's obviously playing at an MVP level this year so far. I'm not saying that he won't hit that because he, breaks off 70-yard runs. Like it's not a huge deal. But Buffalo has played him very tough with this regime with Sean McDermott in the past. So something I would look at is just potentially his under rushing yard, but that is a very scary bet from a guy who bets his rushing over all the time.
I mean, I respect it. I like Buffalo's defense, and as you said, they've played them extremely tough. So I don't hate the under, but as I said, I'm already invested in the Bills, so I don't think I want to double down on this particular game. But I do respect not only your thoughts, but you putting yourself in a timeout, because I haven't allowed myself a timeout, and I probably should go to timeout, but I'm not going to. Speaking of which, I do have another pick, but it's really more because I wanted to talk to Che about it. I like the Chiefs just on the money line. So obviously, primetime Tom Brady. That's Kelly's absolutely favorite stat in the entire world. But I was actually watching a TikTok, and I need you to tell me if this is if you think this is what's happening. So Giselle, is she a witch? Because I have watched a TikTok that has convinced me, and then I went down a rabbit hole that whenever Tom went to the Bucks, she told us she makes him an altar. She does this weird stuff with herbs, makes him use crystals. I can just send you the article.
please send me the TikTok because now I'm like, wait, what?
He
You
even
know me, I'm always in for a good conspiracy theory, Megan.
Tom Brady even quotes. She said, "You're married to a witch. You're just lucky I'm a good witch." So she's even calling herself, admittedly, a witch. And I think
I mean, she's
that
a hot witch too, so
this drama in the preseason where he had to go home, no one knew what was happening, someone thought he was going to be on The Masked Singer. I think that was Giselle taking away her powers and sucking the life out of Tom Brady, and he's not going to be good anymore. So I need to know what your thoughts on Giselle being a witch is.
I don't have a I don't have a good good comeback for that. I will say I don't think it's a good omen to bet on Tom Brady in prime time. We know how well that works out. But the Chiefs scare me, Megan. We mentioned Eric Bimini and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. This is like this weird little triangle of the blame game, and I'm not sure what's going on. Obviously, Patrick's kind of missing Tyreek. I know a lot of people thought that he was going to have, three deep in the wide receiver roster and that he was going to be just fine. There's some issues there. I'm not going to touch this game. Full disclosure, I'm not going to touch it. I don't blame you at all for betting against Tom in prime time. I'm also not in the business of laying road chalk, particularly after a team just lost like they did in Indianapolis. But on the flip side, and maybe Chase got some insight to what's going on in Tampa. My buddy works at Raymond James, so I knew yesterday that they were going to play in Tampa this week. But you still have to remember they've been displaced in Miami all week. As somebody who else has been displaced, I can tell you what a clusterfuck it's been and how thrown out of my element I've been in. These are professional athletes. They have routines as well. So something to think about here, but it's going to be a no play for me.
Okay, just really quickly, this is the quote. He answered, I did. I've learned a lot from my wife over the years. She's about the power of intention, believing that things are really going to happen, that she makes an altar for me at each game because she just wills it so much. So she put together a little altar for me that I could bring pictures of my kids and all these little special stones, healing stones, protective stones. And she has me wear a necklace and take these drops she makes and say all of these mantras. So,
I mean, I love her. Good for her. Like maybe I'm a witch.
so Steven, what do you think about Tom Brady's powers being gone?
I don't know if they're gone. I still think, on tape he looks like the same guy. He's played some very tough defenses, and I think this is probably the last of the gauntlet. To open the season, 4 games against Dallas, New Orleans, Green Bay, and then Kansas City. That is a murderer's row start. If the Bucks can win this and go 3-1, that would be huge. If they went to 2-2, it would be a minor setback, but this is the hardest part of their schedule, so I could live with that. I cannot confirm Giselle is a witch, but if she is, she's doing a great job. I mean, he's 45, still playing
She's
a very
doing
high
a
level.
great job. I
And
think that's
so
his plastic surgeon. By the way, I need to get that guy's number because I could probably use it by the time I'm 45.
I don't think that Tom really does that. But I will say about this game, the Bucks are going to be playing at home after the hurricane. I don't think you should ever bet against a team that's doing that. I mean, they're obviously going to put on for the city. So I know that Tom Brady is playing in prime time, and the numbers aren't great for him there. But I would certainly not.
But what about those
miss
cheekbones
Hurricane
since he went away for 2 weeks? They look
Yes,
very
she does, sucking the life
all
out.
those press conferences are right after like 3-hour practices in 100-degree weather. So he's sweating a ton, losing a ton of weight on the field.
First of all, I have never been in Tampa when it's been 100 degrees. I've been in
Oh
Vegas
yeah,
when it's been
no, it was.
120.
I was the day I was there. It was 97, I think. But
That is
then
not
on the
100.
real
I
heat,
tell
it was like
everybody this all the time.
115.
It doesn't get over 100. It doesn't.
90.
90. It might be 99 degrees, but you'll never see it be 100 degrees in Southwest Florida.
I'm telling you, I was there. But what was I going to say? One prop I would look at, and I never bet against the Bucks, so I'm not going to take this. Patrick Mahomes over completions is 25 and a half. He played the Bucks twice. One of them he had 26, and the other one I think he had like 47 or 49. A ton of completions. What's interesting is the Bucks defense and Todd Bowles, how he plays it and how he has played it to prevent Tyreek Hill from going crazy, is he'll play 2 deep safeties, which is very in vogue in the league right now. That makes Patrick Mahomes take shorter completions. So I think you could see Patrick Mahomes take a lot more shorter completions and move the ball. I'm not loving the yards necessarily or the touchdown number, but the completion number I can get behind. 25 and a half is the number. I'm not going to play it. I don't bet against the Bucks, but if I was looking at that, I would look at the over.
Okay, can I ask you a serious question? And this is like full disclosure. You say you don't bet against the Bucks.
I knew you were about to fucking ask
I,
him.
I need to know why.
Loyal.
Because I root for the Bucks. I'm never going to watch a Bucks game and intentionally cheer for another team.
Right, but
It's
like,
different if it's like season-long fantasy and like inevitably if you draft a guy who's playing the Bucks, it's like okay, like
well, you have to. I mean, like I'm not thrilled that the Vikings and Saints are playing each other this weekend when I have both season win totals over. But I knew that prior to the season starting. Like, so it doesn't. It's kind of like you have to like emotionally hedge sometimes. You don't.
I feel like
You would never emotionally hedge,
Never.
even in fantasy.
No, like because in fantasy, like if you have, I don't play daily fantasy, so in a season long one, I know that a team is probably going to play the Bucks once if if they're an NFC team for the most part. You deal with that, but I'm never specifically being like, hey, I have Michael Thomas. Like, I really hope he scores 2 touchdowns today. I would
Like I
never
wouldn't have. I drafted Justin Herbert.
fan.
Obviously, he's hurt.
Your face just got so angry when you just said that.
I know, but I'm curious because I'm like, wait, I guess I just don't. As a gambler, I guess I just have lost all of my fandom. Like I was really happy that K State won that game. Like that was awesome as a fan, but it was because of the handicap and the numbers. And then I'm looking at Texas Tech this week, going, "Am I going to turn right around and bet against the same K State team?" I think that's just because as a gambler, that's why I was kind of curious if Che's just not there yet. Maybe he's just not ever going to get there. But I
It's
just have
not
to kind of wonder.
my fandom comes before my gambling. So if I lose,
Okay.
several units in a day and it's not a good day, if my team won, I'm still happy at the end of the day.
And I feel like I'm kind of similar with LSU. Like the whenever I went up for the stream with Brandon Walker, I told the gambling guys like you can literally I will go 0-7 today, but make LSU win.
And so maybe that's why, Megan. Maybe you're the witch. You sold your soul for LSU to beat Brandon Walker, and now that's been the problem.
Maybe it has been the problem, but I will. These guys really could have picked a better time.
This is why I don't let anybody do anything on filming days. Poor Megan. I've been there where I'm like cussing at the landscape or the house cleaner or anything. I totally get it.
Well,
Megan,
with prop bets and like singular bets like that, you are opting into that. Like I have a good inkling that Patrick Mahomes will complete 26 balls or more on
but
Sunday.
you wouldn't bet it because they're playing the Bucks.
Correct.
But to me, that's an emotional hedge that you can actually still win both bets. Patrick Mahomes can throw 28 completed passes, but the Bucks can still win the game.
He doesn't want to have to cheer for Patrick Mahomes. Period.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
And I understand. Like I totally get that. But enough of that. We need to wrap up here relatively soon. So let's make sure that Che gets out his big brain and gives us all of the props that we need first. So rattle off your next couple of favorite props that you have out there before Kelly and I give out the rest of our picks for the weekend.
Sure. So just a couple that are interesting to me. DJ Moore is one you want to look at. A lot is in the headlines right now with the coach Matt Rule saying receivers have to get open. He has not been very good this year. Baker Mayfield hasn't looked his way a lot. I think we saw this last week with Kyle Pitts, where he was in the headlines with Arthur Smith and the Falcons and Marcus Mariota not getting him the ball. And in the NFL, sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I like DJ Moore over 49.5 receiving yards. That's absolutely one I'd look at. Amari Cooper as well, over 4.5 catches. He had 21 targets and 16 catches in his last 2 games. Going against the Falcons in Atlanta, I think 4.5 is pretty low for that. It's a little juice, so you might want to just add that one in with a parlay. And then 2 others that jumped out is from the same game. It's Jags at Eagles. Both completion lines for quarterbacks are a little bit low. Trevor Lawrence is 22.5. He's averaging 26 this season and has never been below 24. I know the Eagles defense is very good, but I think even if the Jags are playing from behind, I think that bodes well for Trevor Lawrence completions. And then Jalen Hurts as well, 20.5 is his line. He's averaging 24 in his last 2 games. He had 18 week 1, but that was during a blowout. They were just trying to salt the game away. So Jalen Hurts over completions is actually my favorite bet of the weekend, but I'm not going to bet it until tomorrow. Megan, you're on mute. Megan,
I forgot I was on mute. I was doing that so that y'all didn't have to hear this guy.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate that because the buzzing of the weed whacker did not need to interrupt Che.
It's not great. Yeah, no.
I have a buzzing French bulldog here. I'm surprised nobody's jumped in the comments and been like, "What is that sound?"
At least you have her with you now. Yeah, I was not a big Hurts girl last year. I don't want to say shit on him, but like I was just like I don't think he's a very serviceable quarterback.
Yeah.
And this year he's turned right around and kind of like thrown it in my face. And good for Jalen Hurts. I'm with it. So just real quickly, the rest of my picks. I'm on the Lions. I'm on the Cowboys. And I already told you I am on the Chiefs. And I have a teaser of the Cards and the Rams.
I love that teaser, Megan. Great
AFC, told me that, and I'm
West.
very worried now that so many people have told me.
No.
I really like that teaser.
I'm not worried about it at all. I love the Cardinals. Bet them +2. I have the Pats plus 10.5, now down to 9. That's some great reverse line moment. I've got a nice CLV trophy that I can't wait to hoist up when Aaron Rodgers throws 8 touchdown passes against the Pats and just obliterates Bill Belichick. But as of right now, I'm thinking we're seeing some overreaction finally start to come back down to that number. But I do really like your teaser. I did that teaser as well as the Broncos and the Rams.
Really quickly before we go, do you think that McCarthy or Jerry Jones are having a little buyer's remorse on Dak Prescott with him missing like 12 games between 2022 and 2021, and now he just seems like he's very accident prone or injury prone, if you will, and like Rush is looked very not bad. I don't want to say good, but I mean, I was just curious if what y'all are thinking, just because I mean, he
Well, I
could
think
be
the
out
big
for
thing is that
weeks, right? Like.
I think it's Kellen Moore that we need to give Cooper Rush some credit for. I think he's really limited him in what his abilities are, or maybe he knows what his abilities or inabilities are, and he hasn't set him up for failure yet. Like, look, the Cowboys aren't winning games in a shootout, which is what they would do with Dak. Their defense is really stepped up and helped out in the loss of Dak, and Cooper Rush hasn't made any mistakes, knock on wood, yet. And so that's the interesting dynamic here. Buyer's remorse is hard. Like, I mean, do you think the Panthers have buyer's remorse against Christian McCaffrey? Maybe. Up until 2 weeks ago, did the Giants have buyer's remorse against Saquon Barkley? Are the Chargers having buyer's remorse against Herbert? I mean, injuries happen. I think it's part of the deal, and probably they're insured, so they probably aren't having necessarily buyer's remorse.
I
I
was
think
just
Dak.
curious. I thought about that because obviously I'm taking the Cowboys minus the 3 against the Commanders, which
That
obviously
scares the shit out of me. I'm not
line
gonna
is
lie.
absolutely terrifying. The Commanders, I know they beat the Jags. The Jags look fucking fantastic. In my opinion, Trevor Lawrence just saw what Joe Burrow did last year and was like, I'm going to do that now.
Well,
And
also he has a much better coach.
yeah. Well, regardless, I just I'm taking the bait a lot this week. As I'm not as smart as Che to where I'm putting myself in timeout, but Kelly and I being on the opposite side either means she's going to be completely right, I'm going to be completely right, or we're going to split. So
Yeah, it means we're both gonna go like 1-2. I guess I only bet 3 games, so I'm gonna go
hopefully,
1-2.
hopefully that's not the case. I put out a ton of college football picks as well. Che, Kelly, thank you so much for coming on for this beautiful Friday. We're going to wrap it up so I can go pick up the kids from school, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Good luck with your bets this weekend. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube page. Comment that I suck or that you hate me. Just make sure you're commenting because, all pubs.
Any comments are good comments. We appreciate all of them.
We appreciate all. And then make sure you like and follow the Money Shots Twitter and Instagram and Trusted Data, and just Steven Cheah in general. And of course, Kelly and Coco and everybody else. We love you guys. I take too long to wrap up. We'll see you Monday.
Kelly and Coco. Coco's appreciating the shout out. Thanks, Megan.
Yep.